Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Vinny the Handyman. Today we are going to tackle this undermount sink that has fallen. I'm going to show you guys how to repair it and get it up and running again. Let's get to it. Okay, good morning, guys. We're gonna do a pretty easy sink install. What happened was that the existing sink is an undermount sink, and it dropped. The silicone seal had given out, and what's holding it in place is the clips that are installed. So pretty easy job. Being that the clips are still there, all I have to do is re-epoxy underneath the sink and then add some silicone, and that sink will be complete. I'll also be supporting it with a 2x4 underneath it, so that way I know it won't sag even though the clips are there, but we don't want to put too much pressure on the clips just yet, so you'll see that as well. Pretty basic stuff. I got my 50-50 mix of epoxy here. Any epoxy will do, because they rate from 3,500 to 5,500 pounds. So you'll be fine with these. I think this one's 3,500. Yeah, this one is 3,900 psi, and it sets in 5 minutes. So it's a pretty decent epoxy for this type of job. I'll be scraping the existing silicone off with this, and I like to use a razor blade just to make sure everything's cleaned off perfectly. We have some wedges. Now, if you don't have clips, sometimes these wedges work good. You cut them right here and then epoxy them to the underside of the granite. So these also work as clips if you don't have them, but these also work to mix the epoxy as well. So I have those for that. I always have extra cardboard for mixing the epoxy. I got a little headlamp here that I'll put on in dark tight places, so this helps a lot if you're working by yourself. And then I'm going to finish this silicone up, but it's the same as this one. It's just clear waterproof silicone for sinks and things. So that's really all you need to do this job. So again, we're going to be lifting up a kitchen sink that had given way, and we'll be resecuring it. So pretty simple job. Okay, we'll walk inside. Sometimes it's nice to have a bucket and just throw all your stuff in there. Keeps it a little simple. Okay, let's go inside. See, I dropped about 1.5 inches. Okay, so like I said, we got our clips down here. All right, so those are still intact, which is good. Let me see if I can't get my hand under here. It's hard having a dad bod when you're down here. So these clips, they're pretty tight right now, so they're holding the sink up. Did you know? Oh no, I'm just talking to myself. Sorry. Yeah, so these clips, they hold the sink from falling in case something like this happens. So that's like, it reinforces it basically. But like I said, we're gonna clean it all out, re-silicone it, re-epoxy it, and it should be good to go. So from under here, you can actually see the clip still hanging on. So actually, the clip did its job. Next, take a razor blade and go ahead and scrape the stainless steel sink and underneath the granite to give it a nice clean seal. Okay, so before I set the epoxy and the silicone, I want to make sure I cut my support bracing. That way it lifts the sink up once the epoxy sets in place. Alright, so I got my two pieces. I'm going to brace the bottom of the sink. That's our hardener. Okay, so once the epoxy is mixed, go ahead and smear it on top of the sink, and this will give you a 5-minute window before the epoxy starts to harden. Okay, so now that we've applied the epoxy where it's needed, we're going to grab our clear silicone and we're just going to put a bead of it around the entire sink. This will give us a nice gasket. Then we're going to let it sit for 24 hours. Okay, so once you're done siliconing the entire sink, after you put your support bracing from underneath, be sure to go back on top and clean off any excess silicone with a wet rag. And then keep in mind, if there's any air gaps, go back and apply more silicone where needed, and then wipe down any excess silicone, because it will be a nightmare to clean off once it's dry. Okay, we got everything sealed off underneath. So we're gonna let this sit for about 24 hours. I got some bracing underneath. So everything's been silicone with clear silicone. The epoxy setting. And I just braced it with some 2x4s. And the clips were tightened down, the wing nuts. So we got all 4 of them tightened down. Okay, that was a really quick how-to video on how to fix your sink if it drops. So again, a little bit of epoxy, and the main ingredient is your clear silicone. That gives it a better seal, so that way this won't fall down again. Okay, if you like this video, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, stay confident, you guys can do this too. Take care, bye.